As the 21st century dawns, a new breed of fighter emerges, spanning all disciplines, with the finesse of a master martial artist and the guts of a seasoned street brawler. The Ultimate Fighter. The future is here, now, tonight. The Ultimate Fighting Championship 8. No fighter embodies the UFC like this man, Ken Shamrock, the master of submissions with the power of a lion. He is the reigning Superfight champion. Ken puts it all on the line tonight against the man who in UFC 3 rocked the martial arts world when he punished Royce Gracie, the jiu-jitsu master and reigning UFC champion. He's known by only one name, Kimo, the Hawaiian fighting legend. Tonight, witness the future of bare-knuckle combat as the octagon becomes the land where all bets are settled. Shamrock versus Kimo and the David and Goliath tournament. This is the future of fighting. The Ultimate Fighting Championship 8. Let's open up the gates. Our setting, the Ruben Rodriguez Coliseum in Bayamon, a multi-purpose facility which opened in 1988 and hosts basketball, ice shows, concerts, and tonight, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Now here are the laws of the octagon. No biting, no eye gouging, no fish hooking. Referee has the authority to restart the bout if there's a lack of action. No rounds, but a 10-minute time limit in the quarterfinals and the semis, a 15-minute time limit in the finals and the super fight. There will be a maximum of 2 3-minute overtime sessions in the finals and the super fight. Here are the ways to win a fight: by knockout, by submission, if the corner throws in a towel, if the referee stops the contest because a fighter cannot intelligently defend himself, by disqualification, or if time expires, 3 judges render a decision. The judges assigned for tonight's matches are well respected in the martial arts community. Stephen Quadros, the executive editor of the Kickboxing Ring Report, contributing editor to Inside Kung Fu. Graciela Casillas-Boggs, the first athlete to become world champion in 2 different sports, boxing and kickboxing. And Robert Young, executive editor, Karate Kung Fu Illustrated, black belt Korean martial arts. So we are set to go with our first quarterfinal bout of the evening. Greco-Roman wrestler Don Frye, a David, versus Pakwachan striker Thomas Ramirez against a Goliath. And right now, here comes Don Frye to the octagon. Here's a look at his discipline, wrestling, Jeff.
Well, without a doubt, he has a great wrestling background, having competed at Arizona State University and at Oklahoma State University. But he's also a former pro boxer, which then gives him the added advantage of knowledge on strikes. He's going to say he's not going to go for the takedown right away in our pre-match interview, but I think if he sees an opening, he's going to take him to the ground, and he says he likes to strike when he is on the ground.
He is a Tom Selleck look-alike, a state champion, high school wrestling All-America in Greco-Roman and freestyle. Also trains at Phoenix's First Baptist Church. That's where the Sunkist Kids Wrestling Club trains. Half the team will be trying out for the Olympics. He is managed by Dan the Beast Severn. And right now, his opponent set to make his way to the octagon, Thomas Ramirez. He is the local product from Bayamon, Puerto Rico. Born in the Bronx, New York, the oldest competitor in the field at age 41, the heaviest at 410 pounds. undefeated in 200 challenge matches on the islands. Pakwa Chan is what his discipline is called.
Ramirez considers himself a striker, but he has a strange way to strike people. He likes to slam them on the ground. He will hit with open hand strikes. He has no ground experience whatsoever. He's not worried about it. And his stamina is questionable. He even admits that he doesn't believe conditioning will be a factor.
Our Octagon announcer from Fox Radio in Denver, the G-Man Rich Goins.
Buenas noches, damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen. SEG Sports Corporation welcomes you to the Coliseo Ruben Rodriguez in beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico, for the greatest martial arts competition in the world, the Ultimate Fight Championship 8. Presenting the super fight you've all been waiting for, Ken Shamrock versus Kimo. Plus the David and Goliath tournament, 8 of the world's toughest fighters will walk into the octagon tonight. 4 challengers, 4 giants, only one will emerge victorious. Tonight there are no weight classes, no rounds, no timeouts. Are you ready, San Juan? Introducing our first competitor. Standing 6'1", weighing in at 2. Standing at 6'1", 206 pounds, a Greco-Roman wrestler with a second-degree black belt in the art of judo, over 700 career competition victories. 30-year-old, please welcome from Sierra Vista, Arizona, the Predator, Don Frye. Frye. And an expert in the art of Pakwa, undefeated in 200 bare-knuckle challenge matches, 41 years old, 6'1", 410 pounds, from Bayamon, Puerto Rico, Thomas Ramirez. Let's get it on.
Here's a look at the tail of the tape for this opening bout in the David versus Goliath UFC 8. Pakwa Chan and wrestling. Ramirez 11 years older than Frye. The weight, a huge difference there, almost double his weight, over 200 pounds. And it's the local product Ramirez from Bohlander, Puerto Rico, against Donnie Frye from Sierra Vista, Arizona. The octagon is 750 square feet of space, 32 feet across, 5 foot 6 inches padded walls on top of a chain link fence. 2 lock gates, tight canvas skin pad, and we are underway. And Frye knocks down Ramirez, and that is it. It's over. Ramirez got knocked into the chain link fence. The bout has been stopped by Big John McCarthy.
He's still out. His eyes are open, but he's not moving. He looks to be all right. They're just keeping him down for safety.
Those were 2 quick punches that landed to Ramirez's head.
Yeah, there's always the danger when the big man hits the canvas hard.
Well, his head didn't ricochet off the ground because he came into the fence. But certainly he took a shot. He wants to get up, but they're keeping him down.
It took only 10 seconds for Don Frye to put away Thomas Ramirez. Oh, my. Here's a look at it, how it happened, how quick it was.
Well, Ramirez said he didn't want to take him down to the ground right away. He wanted to feel him out. He connected with that first right, and there, bang, that was the one that did it.
It was a short right hook.
And that head went right into the fence, and John McCarthy was right there.
It just looks like
and there it is right there.
That was very short. I mean, his head didn't even flinch.
That's all it takes. If you hit a guy on the button, which is the chin, which we haven't seen a lot of here at the UFC, guys hitting the chin, but the chin is, no matter how tough you are, you cannot absorb a blow to the chin.
Super fight later tonight, 50,000 to the winner, 25,000 to the runner-up. It's Shamrock against Kimo. Ken Shamrock has never lost in a super fight in the octagon. He is 1-0-2. And he's fought the best in the world there. He drew with the brilliant Royce Gracie. He had a victory over Dan Severn, who was the ultimate champion. And he drew with Oleg Taktarov.
Well, if we had had the judges at that time, but of course they weren't there, and that could affect and should affect the way a fighter performs. He clearly dominated Oleg in that super fight.
So we're standing by for our second quarterfinal bout of the main draw. Once again, 10-minute time limit in the quarters, 10-minute time limit in the semis, 15-minute time limit in the finals, with 2 3-minute overtime periods needed. In the history of the UFC, only one man has won 3 titles, Royce Gracie. Dan Severn has won 2, including the ultimate. Here's a look at our upcoming bout. Joe Moreira, could he be the next Gracie, the next Huas? And Paul Varelans, who has been a runner-up in the UFC. He was in a past competition, UFC 7. Right now, Joe Moreira set to make his way to the octagon. He is right next to his trainer, Alan Goes, who is Carlson Gracie's best fighter and perhaps one of the best fighters in the world, the 8-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. We may see him down the road. Joe Moreira, meanwhile, 6th-degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, 3rd-degree black belt in Judo.
He is a master of submissions, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu style. He is most comfortable on the ground, and unlike Gracie, he would rather be in the mounted position. He will strike and is capable. He likes to kick, and he prefers arm locks as his specialty in submission.
Joe Moreira, 12-0 in Vale Tudo competition, 4-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, 12-time Rio de Janeiro Jiu-Jitsu champion. Came to the States in '92 to teach with Helson Gracie after studying Jiu-Jitsu and Judo in Brazil, as well as some Judo in Japan. And his good friend is Rickson Gracie. So Don, he has allied himself with some of the best in the world.
Absolutely. He knows what kind of a match this is. They're experienced at that type of thing. He's got a lot of experience.
Well, his competitor, no stranger to the UFC, 3-3 in previous competition, Paul the Polar Bear Varelans. The Polar Bear, runner-up in UFC 7, fighting out of San Jose, California, his hometown, Fairbanks, Alaska. Undefeated in bare knuckle matches out of the octagon. He's got a freestyle fighting style.
Being a big man, he believes in power over technique. He knows he needs to learn more about submissions, but he thinks his heavy elbows and his newer cautious approach to fighting is going to help him out. He believes he's a thinker now. He's going to be cautious, he's going to think.
There's a look at the Polar Bear.
And one important thing about the Polar Bear, he's only 26 years old.
Let's go to the G-Man Rich Coins.
Ladies and gentlemen, our second bout of the evening. Please welcome our first competitor, a 6th-degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, 3rd-degree black belt in Judo. 5'11", 205, 33 years old, 4-time Brazilian, 12-time Rio Jiu-Jitsu champion, 3-time world, 2-time South American, and 2-time Pan-American Judo champion from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Please welcome the Gorilla, Joe Moreira. And his opponent, a black belt in the art of trap fighting and a practitioner of freestyle fighting, a UFC veteran with a 3-3 record in the octagon. fighting out of San Jose, California, originally from the icy north of Fairbanks, Alaska, 26 years old, 6'8", 300 pounds. Please welcome the polar bear, Paul Varelans.
Moreira is called the gorilla, but he clearly is the David here. A look at their disciplines. The age differential, significant, 7 years. Could it be experience, or will it favor Varelans? Now look at the size. Wow. But it's Moreira who's tactically brilliant on the mat. And if Varelans ends up on the mat, he could be in trouble.
This really is a size difference. Moreira doesn't look overly muscular, but neither did Royce Gracie, and he's extremely dangerous.
Big John McCarthy will tell the fighters to get it on.
This should prove interesting. This will be an interesting fight.
Let's get it on!
Moreira's got to weather the early possible blows of Varelans. Varelans has the experience in the octagon. But once again, he's matched against a very smart fighter. Herrera buying his time.
Well, this is one of the signs of experience, is taking your time before you get down on the ground.
Right hand landed by Moreira, and they said he's a pretty good puncher also, Jeff.
Well, he went ahead and closed the distance, and Varelans tried to wrestle with him. And Moreira simply backed out, quit wrestling, and threw that quick strike, backed out.
It's a much more patient Paul Varelans, Don.
Absolutely, and you know, I see a big welt on his eye. He said one of the factors of his fight with Dan Severn was that Severn didn't hit him. Well, he's been hit tonight.
Combination kick punch by Moreira. Going down and then coming up, and again he tries to close the distance.
And now it's a battle of strength.
Varelans is going to try a heel trip here.
Big elbow by Varelans. That's his best blow.
Those punches glanced off the arms of Moreira. Certainly they may have be felt by Moreira, but they did not have any significant impact.
Varelans trying to land a right hand.
Moreira using his speed to get away.
That right hand of Varelans actually buckled Herrera just a little bit.
And Varelans again on the prey, but being selective. 10-minute time limit. Moreira in no rush. Content to play a little role of counterpuncher. Varelans with the uppercut.
Blocked by the right arm of Moreira. Varelans doing a nice job of trying to find that opening to go ahead and use his power and leverage. Moreira trying to keep close, not allowing any room, and here he's trying to get behind him. Same tactic as, a right hand by Moreira.
And again, Varelans continues his pursuit, slow and steady.
Don, would you change your tactic here? Might you stand still if you were Varelans and try to draw Moreira to you?
Well, I think if Varelans was to shoot, he could take him right down. And I think the ground is where Varelans ought to be. He's not winning the stand-up fight. His eye is swollen. He's been hit with the better punches.
Well, one must think after seeing Severn dispose of Varelans on the ground, is it a smart tactic to go down there with Moreira?
Well, he does have a little bit more size over Moreira than he did on Severn. I mean, Severn had another 40 pounds. But, you know, my advice to Varelans would be to take him down and use his weight and his size against him. Because
almost 3 minutes in.
If this was a striking match, Varelans would be down.
Moreira tried to land the right, but Varelans got him on a counter.
Good punch by Varelans. And really, all of the Valle Tudo style here hasn't even come to bear.
I think that's because of the size differential.
Right. You know,
you can't take him down.
There is something to be said about these Goliaths. You can't totally discount the size and the strength of these big men.
What about Moreira, Jeff? Can he take a shot and go for a quick shoot?
He'd have to get to the ankle and come up with that and avoid any kind of a downward strike. But of course, if he's down near Varelans' ankle, that elbow really can't come into play because you have no leverage to bring it there. Varelans wants him out in front of him about half arm's distance. And here he's trying to get in.
A big right hand by Moreira.
Varelans is coming back, though. I think Varelans is getting stronger as the fight goes. And you can see Moreira's breathing pretty heavy through the mouth.
I don't think Moreira is used to this kind of fight.
No, he may have had a lot of this Valley Tudo, but I doubt if they were
many of them,
6'8", 300 pounds.
And many of them didn't include striking because Valley Tudo in its true form does not allow strikes.
Again, the battle remains on their feet. Almost halfway through this bout. Varelans, the Goliath. Moreira, the David.
Moreira has tried to close the distance.
And Varelans, he wants him.
Varelans wants him inside now. I really do believe here Varelans is gaining confidence.
It's a much more sophisticated attack from Varelans.
Not those early mistakes, leading with that leg planted so that it can be kicked. Improving his jabbing style so that he keeps the man from rushing into him. And when he does rush, he's prepared to throw a series of heavy blows to the upper body and head to try to fend him off.
If Varelans had any kicking ability whatsoever, he could be landing kicks and then coming in with punches. But the way he is right now, just walking forward, it's not good for striking or grappling.
Jeff, who is the onus on here to do something, or are we really talking about a very close call thus far?
We're talking a very close call and a very close fight. I think, as I said, Varelans seems to be coming back, but that right hand keeps landing for Moreira. And it'll be interesting to see how the judges interpret these different kinds of blows.
Well, I think I'm seeing a kind of a strategy coming out of Moreira. He locks up, breaks the lock, throws a punch, and gets back outside. And he's scoring cleanly with those. He has done it possibly 3 times in a row.
That's right, Don. A very good observation.
It's like a boxer who has to stick and move, cannot battle in the center of the ring. In this case, it's an octagon.
He gets inside, he locks up with Varelans, breaks it, and then lands a blow.
I don't believe Moreira has really fought somebody this big with this kind of balance. He's not able to get inside to knock him to the ground. And he clearly said he's most comfortable on the ground. So he has to be fighting Varelans style.
No overtime. It'll go to the judges if we complete the 10-minute period.
Don, there was your kick.
Well, there was a leg thrown in the direction of his opponent, but I don't know if I'd call it a clean kick.
And again, it continues to be a chess match. And remember, that octagon right now, over 100 degrees. It is very, very hot in here. Varelans trying to get the left hand, scores on a short uppercut. Moreira missed on that right hand.
I believe that's a strategy.
That's his tactic. He's been most effective there, and he's trying to create that situation again.
He's trying to lock up and then break on the hit, or hit on the break.
He's throwing some heavy punch there, too, because it's taking him directly off balance after he follows through. Now,
in boxing and kickboxing, that is illegal, to clinch and then hit on the break because the opponent is so vulnerable. But in the UFC, perfectly legitimate technique.
The judges will rule on effectiveness of strikes, effectiveness of ground attack, where there has really been none.
Nothing at all.
And overall aggressiveness. So we're really talking about 2 categories.
And you have to say Varelans, being always moving forward, is the aggressor, except for those quick bull rushes of Moreira.
Effectiveness of strikes right now would probably go to Moreira, however.
Well, Varelans needs to cut the ring off. What he's doing is following Moreira. That's not good.
Varelans landing, but Moreira ties him up quickly, and Moreira on the clinch again, right hand.
What Varelans needs to do is cut the ring off of Moreira. Take a 45-degree angle step instead of following him around the ring.
Wouldn't you want to close the distance a lot quicker? The plotting step here really seems to allow Moreira to continue to move.
Under 2 minutes to go.
Well, I guess they don't call him Goliath for nothing, Jeff. He's not fast.
Jeff, does it behoove anyone here to try to make a gamble, to try to attack with less than 2 minutes to go?
I don't see either. I think the
2 minutes left.
strategy should be don't make a big mistake. It's very close to call here. I can't tell you who I think is going to win. Both have landed effective punches. And I am not a striker at heart, so it's hard for me to evaluate that.
Yeah, this is very close for me to call. If I was a judge, it'd probably be a pretty even matchup until now. One man making the fight, Varelans, the other man scoring the clean hits.
Well, if you add aggressiveness to that, Don, because it seems that Varelans is always moving forward, Would that be able to break that tie?
It's close. It's close. It's going to be in the hands of the judges. Neither fighter seems to want to commit.
1 minute left in the match.
Inside a minute.
And it seems now that Varelans is picking up the pace. With a minute left, he feels it's a sprint now, and that's something where he can bring his size to bear.
Again, a right hand landed by Moreira on the break. Not much damage. Varelans got a little bit of a mouse on the left side of his face.
That was from that very first punch.
Right, that little shot was from the first punch, and those are superficial shots. They are going to swell up and get red because there are no gloves on the fist.
A very well-schooled Varelans here, not wanting to end up on the canvas, trying to keep his opponent backing up throughout the fight, utilizing his size.
Well, he needs to do some strikes if he's going to do this. If that's his strategy, he needs to throw some strikes.
There's an attempted takedown left hand by Moreira.
Final seconds of the bout.
And all of that fame and the hype about the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Vale Tudo here never got a chance to come to bear. This was purely almost a boxing exhibition.
It's a very good strategy by Varelans to finish strong, because that's what the judges remember. The last few seconds of the match do matter.
Unofficially, this bout is over.
That's the end of the match.
It is over.
The referee quick to break it up. John McCarthy, the crowd, wanting these two combatants to continue their fight. But the time has run out, and this decision will go to the judges.
It was a good combination by Varelans with about 15 seconds to go. Could that weigh on the judges as a last impression? Oftentimes it does. But this is a very, very tough one to call. It depends how you analyze it.
Well, one of the judges is a former world champion in boxing and kickboxing. She's a women's world champion in both, so she's a striker. She's going to be looking at the striking.
Ladies and gentlemen,
so Stephen Quadros, Graciela Casillas-Podge, and Robert Young will hold up their decisions. And it will be one way or the other, no draw. Hence, you have to have a winner. Let's go to Rich Goins.
judge number 1, Stephen Quadros, scores the fight for Paul Varelans. Judge Graciela Casillas-Podge scores the fight for Paul Varelans. Judge Robert Young scores the fight for the winner by
and it's a unanimous decision.
So Paul Varelans wins the unanimous decision, and no doubt an upset here. We thought it could have been Moreira running the table in this tournament, and now this one is wide open.
Well, I think a lot of people felt the winner of this fight would be the one to beat in this tournament, and certainly I was thinking this would go to the ground, but the experience of Paul Varelans now, having been in the UFC a number of times, really has paid off. His fighting style has improved. He kept it on his feet, and most of all, he closed strong.
320 pounds is Varelans, and you know, it was not a breathtaking fight by any stretch of the imagination, Don, but sometimes your first fight is the most important. If you have to win 3 in a night, Varelans did what he had to do to win.
Right, and he didn't suffer any injuries that we could see, and it didn't seem as though he really expended a lot of energy. I mean, he just methodically plodded towards his opponent, threw the punches when he had to, and was able to weather the storm on those breaks.
Well, one thing that'll come out clear later in, and that simply is, does this heat in here, this 100+ with incredible humidity that's causing everything to sweat, is that going to have a factor if you go the full distance in the early fights, and how that's going to affect you in the next?
And we're set to go for our third quarterfinal match. Jerry Bohlander, submission fighter, grappler, 200 pounds. Scott Ferrozzo, 330, pit fighter, striker, grappler. Here comes Jerry Bohlander. Jerry Bohlander from Lockford, California, part of the group from the Lion's Den, the Ken Shamrock group. He wrestled in high school, Greco-Roman and freestyle, a wrestler for 6 years, now a submission fighter.
He is a grappler coming from shoot fighting, an experienced wrestler. Look for him to be strong on the ground. He's young with limited fighting experience. That could pay a price. He favors submissions over striking, and he feels one of his best assets is his conditioning, a Ken Shamrock product.
He's got technical skills in submission, says Frank Shamrock, who is now the king of pancrase in Japan. Bohlander's opponent is Scott Ferrozzo. And here is one of the unknowns in the UFC, the Pitbull. His style, pit fighting. It's strictly UFC style. High school wrestler, two-time Nevada champion, 117-7, an All-American nose guard, Division II college football at Lancaster College in California.
Well, Scott considers himself a powerful puncher. I mean, he's big. If he hits you, he can hurt you. He shoots immediately. He wants to go right for that shoot and take you down. He prefers choking over striking once he is on the ground, and he believes because of his aggressiveness, he's very hard to control.
Right now, let's go up to Rich Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, our third bout of the evening. Please welcome our competitor, 21 years old, 5'11", 200 pounds, a submission fighter out of Lockford, California, 1-0 in professional competition. Let's hear it for Jerry Bohlander. And his opponent, a pit fighter out of Las Vegas, Nevada, 31 years old, 5'10", 330 pounds. They call him the Pitbull, Scott Ferrozzo.
Well, here's a look at the tail of the tape in this David versus Goliath format. Ferrozzo is huge. 330 pounds versus Bohlander at 200. The disciplines, pit fighting, shoot fighting, but Bohlander really has changed over to overall submission fighting. Ferrozzo, 10 years older, not much of a differential in height. Weight is where it happens. California and Nevada, two West Coasters here. The Pitbull, confident, charming. Let's see if he backs up his words. He says he will bring this fight to the next level. Big John McCarthy will start it up.
Are you ready? Let's get it on.
And we're underway. Ferrozzo a little late coming out of the corner. He's wearing those open gloves that Tank Abbott wears.
Boy, good kick.
Here comes Ferrozzo.
Well, that's the problem with throwing those leg kicks. You're open for grappling, you're also open for punching.
Ferrozzo landed a couple left, and now Bohlander lands the right.
Just a straight throw, no impact there, but there's impact.
Wow.
Whoa.
Somebody's bleeding. And it's Scott Ferrozzo. He's bleeding above the left eye.
Ferrozzo threw him with tremendous strength.
Well, short, stocky body, it's hard. It's very easy for him to get anybody over his center of gravity.
Now the question is, will it be the wrestler or the submission fighter?
Well, there's the choke. He's trying to choke here, but I'm sure Shamrock has schooled Jerry Bohlander in how to counter that.
Right, he's got his arm working its way in there right now. Yeah.
And now Ferrozzo just using that outright weight.
I like what Bohlander did. Go up against the fence and let Ferrozzo there have to expend energy into the fence as opposed to Bohlander having to hold himself up. Nice knee attempt. Ferrozzo showing a lot of different tactic here.
Bohlander's hanging tough.
I would not want to wrestle with Scott Ferrozzo under these kind of conditions because he is so short, it's hard to do anything to him. If he crouches over, you got about a foot window to try to get underneath him to attack the legs. And look at his upper body and size. It's been very difficult to manipulate him openly with grappling skill.
And right now it's the leaning weight of Ferrozzo up against Bohlander. Bohlander with a headbutt.
Oh, a knee by Jerry Bohlander. Looking in there for the choke now. The head exposed of Scott Ferrozzo if he can work his arm in there. And look how poised Jerry Bohlander is.
Very much so.
He's just leaning against him with his weight. You know, I don't see him panicking like some fighters.
He's climbing the octagon. The fence has been raised by 6 inches to protect against the taller fighters.
Smart move by Jerry Bohlander. You can go hand in hand. You can grab that singlet that Ferrozzo's wearing and use it for leverage.
Jerry wants the choke.
Not much of a neck there to choke, though. He has to get that really clean.
Knee by Ferrozzo.
Ferrozzo looks like he's just trying to pin him into the fence here and keep him from moving. And again, he's trying to stay upright to keep that choke from becoming really effective.
Bohlander holding the points.
Amazing the size of the back on Ferrozzo. I mean, you know, I don't see myself being a college wrestler. I never went up against anybody with that kind of size. I don't know what he's going to be able to do.
Elbow to the back by Bohlander, trying to loosen him up.
He spit out his mouthpiece. I wonder if that's just due to air. It's very hot in here.
Very often, that's an indication. Now throw by Ferrozzo.
Tired.
And he's going right to the guard. Let's see what kind of tactic Ferrozzo uses here in the guard position.
Bohlander pops with his right hand. Let's see if Ferrozzo tries to get that right hand free. He's got to be very leery of the fact that Bohlander can choke him out, though.
With those gloves on, it'll be difficult for Ferrozzo to choke Bohlander out. Looks like he wanted a strike coming into this.
I tell you, this is not the position David should be in with these Goliaths underneath him.
Grace Gracie might disagree with you, Don, but I kind of agree with you. Unless you know you are 100% confident in that position, having a big man on you, one mistake, and you could be accepting a barrage.
Right.
130-pound difference, headbutt by Ferrozzo.
And we don't know these athletes. These are really the first time we've had a chance to see them in actual UFC competition.
And Ferrozzo is showing some diversity.
Certainly is. He's playing the guard here, staying balanced, not committing any mistakes, keeping up by the head of Bohlander.
I'm very impressed with these first-timers, though, Jeff. They look like they know what they're doing. The UFC's been here 2 years now, and these guys are training.
100% accurate there, Don. This is what the future holds for martial arts, this hybrid form, this UFC form of fighting, and still it allows for the freedom of individuality where you can excel with your own body type or your particular skills.
Another headbutt by Ferrozzo. He can deadlift 700 pounds. He is a strong guy, although he's only 5'10", 330. And his dad played in the NFL for the Vikings. So he comes from an athletic family. His frame may not look it. What about Bohlander now, Jeff? Oh, referee John McCarthy's going to separate the fighters and restart them.
No, it might be a cut.
And now the doctor's being called over. The clock will continue to work. They're going to call over the doctor. Steve Goodman will take a look at that cut on Big Scott Ferrozzo. Is it superficial or is it deep?
And one has to wonder, is Ferrozzo here in shape? He was down on the ground. When he's on his feet now, we'll have a better idea as to his conditioning by the footwork that he has and the balance that he maintains while trying to come back here and fight in a standing position.
He has been cleared to go back in there. Bohlander, quick talk with Frank Shamrock, and he's back out there. And he's not breathing hard at all. Big swelling left eye, just under the left eye of Ferrozzo. Huge mouse now developing. Bleeding from the left ear of Bohlander.
Here comes the rush. Oh, a right hand again by Jerry Bohlander. Look at the power of Ferrozzo just driving him into that fence.
Bohlander landed the cleaner punch, however. It was a straight right hand, and now he's grabbing onto the back of that.
Why not use that to choke him with?
This is an exact replay of what happened last time. He threw a leg kick, hit the leg. The guy threw up against the Ferrozzo, threw him up against the fence, and that's where they stayed.
And that's exactly what he's doing with that singlet arm that comes up with the strap that comes up over the right arm of Ferrozzo. He's pulling it along the side. That's cutting the carotid on that side, or at least impairing it. But if he can get it around the front of Ferrozzo's neck, then it could be used for a choke.
And what we have seen from the likes of Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie and Dan Severn is the ability not to panic, to work and just continue utilizing your own game plan.
That's what Jerry Bohlander's doing.
I think so. And now Big John McCarthy separating.
They're going to just start him again in the middle.
Another restart. Frank Shamrock climbs all the way up to the top of the octagon to talk quickly.
Here we go. They started again.
Here they go again.
Again, the rule is if they maintain a position, it's almost like a stalemate in wrestling, it's called, where neither wrestler can improve their position. They bring them back to the center, start them on their feet. Here they bring them to the corners and start them in the standing position.
John Longstreet, Shelly Eichhoff, Darren Gray are the trainers for Ferrozzo. Bruce Buffer and John Longstreet are the managers.
And the David here doing a great showing against the Goliath.
The David looks less for the wear and tear. He looks fresher than Ferrozzo.
And right now, Ferrozzo is doing what a nose guard does. He just comes off the ball and comes at you and knocks you up against the fence, and that is all.
I don't think there's a lot of technique there. He does have good wrestling ability. He's very difficult to off balance. And with that power, it's even better. He just pins him up against the fence.
But he doesn't.
Here where it shows, he doesn't have an offense.
He doesn't do anything after that.
He doesn't have an offense.
2 minutes.
2 minutes to go
left
in this 10-minute quarterfinal bout. So far, Don Frye and Paul Varelans have advanced in this David versus Goliath tournament.
Bohlander has landed good, clean, short right hands against that eye of Ferrozzo, and that's where the cut came from. That's where the bleeding's coming from.
A little foot stomping from Ferrozzo, a la Marco Huas, who started that trend in Buffalo in UFC 7.
Jerry's been watching tapes, obviously.
Hey, I think the tapes are out there, and everybody is adopting this form of hybrid style. Cross-train. Pick out the stuff that works for you, discard the rest.
90 seconds or less remaining. Bohlander very, very strong for 200 pounds. He's only 21 years of age, and he's showing it. And Bohlander pulls down Ferrozzo.
Oh, this could be a choke right here. Oh, he let it go. He had a guillotine choke, and he let it go. But it's still in there. He's still got it. His arms are locked. He needs to arch his back and thrust his hips forward.
That's it. He got it.
He tapped him out. The David wins.
What a performance by Jerry Bohlander. Ferrozzo is okay. Bohlander got in the choke. He missed it, as you said, Jeff, the first time, but he still had it.
Without a doubt, he knew what he was looking for up against the fence. And when Ferrozzo dropped both his arms, that made it easy for him to go ahead, sink that guillotine choke, and make his opponent submit.
9:05 by submission, and I got to believe another upset.
Absolutely. Because of the strength, just the sheer strength of Ferrozzo, slamming up against the fence in the early rounds or the early minutes.
Jerry Bohlander, let's take a look at it once again.
Well, this is with Bohlander on top. This is early in the fight when Bohlander accepted the guard position, staying on his back, keeping the head of Ferrozzo tight so that he can't get any strikes in. But later, pinned up against the fence, he had an opportunity to try to sink a chokehold. And here, when he gets whipped to the ground, he's hanging on to Ferrozzo's singlet, and that keeps him from being rolled over onto his own back.
Oh, great move.
Great balance,
beautiful,
super
right
wrestling. That's a wrestling technique there, just staying in a good sprawl. And here, when Ferrozzo comes up, the neck exposed, he sinks his right arm in when he hits the fence here. That's when he locks his arms, gets that guillotine choke. Ferrozzo tops out. Here in the choke now, and you'll watch for Ferrozzo here to tap right there on his right thigh. He's tapping out to John McCarthy. McCarthy all over it. Great job by Bohlander.
So Bohlander advances. The second David to move on. First it was Don Frye, now Bohlander, and sandwiched between the two was the Goliath Paul Varelans.
And we should remind the audience where the David and Goliath concept came from. Martial arts means self-defense, also offense, but it is in a situation where you don't pick your attacker to choose what self-defense you use. Thus, that's why we
make some noise, San Juan.
Promoted as a David Goliath to show how technical the martial artists are, and that size really isn't the only factor when it comes to combat sport.
Absolutely, Jeff. You cannot weigh your opponent when a guy comes in the street and tries to mug you.
So 3 quarterfinal bouts are in the books. Now the David versus Goliath format has been very intriguing. Bohlander and Varelans, 2 guys we did not think necessarily would advance here tonight, have advanced. And later it's Kimo against Shamrock in the Superfight.
It's going to be interesting. If Bohlander and Varelans, seems to me that would be an excellent fight. Certainly Frye and Varelans is going to be an excellent fight, but You could see the impact of Ken Shamrock on Jerry Bohlander. He's been training 6 months straight. Now, they might not be a lot of time, but with that individual, Ken Shamrock, as your trainer and to work with, best training partner in the world.
All right, here we go. Paul Herrera against Gary Goodridge in our final quarterfinal bout. And here is Herrera. Now, we've talked about disciples of Shamrock. Here's a disciple of Tank Abbott, part of the Huntington Beach crew. A University of Nebraska All-America in wrestling, but way back in 1990 at 142 pounds. He's also a 2-time judo champion.
Well, he is trained with Tank Abbott, but he is a very good wrestler. He is not afraid to go to the ground. He says he's a takedown artist, taking people off their feet. Certainly training with Tank and a Mark Schultz, he has good wrestling prowess. He also likes to say he's a street fighter, and he says Tank's the best on the street. He feels that's going to help him, and he may bleed from a previous cut, something he suffered in training. He likes to submit using chokes, forearms, and ankle locks.
He's small, 185 pounds, the smallest competitor in the competition, 29 years of age. He's got a BA in communications from Nebraska. And he's been working out full-time for 6 months. He was actually with Tank Abbott when Tank went to Utah to train for the ultimate. Herrera has put his modeling and acting career on hold because it was going nowhere. And now Gary Goodridge, Big Daddy, will make his way to the octagon. The 1993 Canadian Amateur Super Heavyweight Boxing Champion. His discipline, Kuk Sulwan. Size differential here. Goodridge with the huge arms. 258 pounds of muscle. An arm wrestler who once beat 1,000 men in a row. I don't know about that. In 2 hours in Japan, in 2 hours?
Well, I'm wondering about martial arts and what arm wrestling has to do with it, but that's something he puts on his resume.
Here's a look at Gary Goodridge.
Well, Gary's very strong with his upper body, of course, with that arm wrestling background, but his ground skills are limited. He considers himself a knockout puncher, and unlike some of the fighters, he believes striking on the ground is effective.
So it's Goodridge and Herrera. Final quarter-final bout. Wrestling and Kuk Sulwan.
Paul Herrera feels he's quick, and against a bigger opponent should be able to beat him to the punch.
Here's Richie Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, our fourth bout of the evening. Please welcome an All-American wrestler from Grand Junction, Colorado, 29 years old, 5'10", 185 pounds, an All-American from the University of Nebraska, 2-time junior college champion. They call him the Wonder Dog, Paul Herrera. And his opponent, 6'3", 258 pounds, 30 years old with a fourth-degree black belt in the art of Kuk Sulwan, a 1993 Canadian Amateur Super Heavyweight Boxing Champion. Let's hear it for Big Daddy, Gary Goodridge.
Well, there's no doubt there's a huge differential here once again in size. Kuk Sulwan, by the way, a Korean martial arts, a lot of kicking, striking, joint locks, and chokes. 6'3", Goodridge has the height advantage by 5, and the weight advantage by 73. Colorado and Canada.
One thing you don't see, Bruce, underneath that gi is a set of arms that is huge. He clearly is way more powerful than Paul Herrera.
And quickly Herrera shoots the leg.
And Herrera's a very good grappler here.
Oh my, elbows in number by Goodridge, and that is it. Goodridge went pounding to Herrera's head with those elbows.
Boy, that was fast.
Wow.
That was short and sweet.
That was explosive.
I'm not sure which one took him out. They were so quick in such rapid succession. I think John got in there as quick as he could, but he looks to be all right. He's moving. He's talking to the doctor.
He got caught in almost that spread position with his arms to his side, and when he released, he wanted to turn to the leg, and that allowed Goodridge that opportunity to sink those elbows in there.
This is something I've said all along. You can use your elbows and your knees against a grappler, not your hands and your feet. Those short elbows used like that in rapid succession, you cannot deal with that on the inside like that.
Some ferocity there, and it was repeated blows by Gary Goodridge against a much smaller opponent. And the doctor's staff is taking a quick look at him, and a good look.
It looks to be a problem with his jaw. He may have had his jaw broken. It happens in boxing matches and kickboxing. They seem to be holding his neck to make sure that's okay. But I saw him take those blows on the side, and these are not the kind of blows that would cause the massive brain damage you get in a boxing kickboxing match on a knockout. These are the kind that can do a lot of superficial bone damage.
Dr. Steve Goodman is out there. He is the Chief Medical Advisor, U.S. Olympic Sports Medicine Society, a member of the USOC Boxing Federation Medical Board, along with Dr. Francisco Carlos, an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Dwight Santiago, an internist, and Dr. Joel Cooperman,
he's up.
A board-certified specialist in musculoskeletal injuries.
He's up and kneeling, and it does look like the side of his face, right about at the jaw cheekbone, is swollen. Could have broke his cheek or his jaw.
Could have had a fracture in there, but they're going to make sure that's all it is before they let him out.
He is talking to the doctors. He's in a kneeling position, really like a waiting position.
And a local medical center nearby, 3 miles away. It's called the Medical Center. It's in Rio Piedras, best known trauma unit on the island. And there is a look at Masa Funaki. One of the most respected men, Don, in all the world of martial arts, so you had an opportunity to greet with. He's among the many distinguished guests as we take a look at leaving the octagon, and it's very good to see.
Well, he wants no help. He wants to leave on his own power. He wants no help. That's the kind of pride that he has. Certainly the doctors are going to follow him everywhere he goes to check him out, but Paul Herrera is fine.
So Paul Herrera, and that is very good to see. He's up under his own strength and walked out on his own.
Size a big factor there. I mean, he just could not move that, and the power of Goodridge.
Now there's a look at the IFC commissioner, Art Davey, from Brooklyn, New York, UFC matchmaker, fight consultant, sergeant in Marine Corps. First saw a mixed martial arts competition in a Bangkok nightclub between an Indian wrestler and a Thai boxer. So our quarterfinals were furious, and here's a look at the way they unfold. First it was the victory to Don Frye, 10 seconds. That quick over Thomas Ramirez. Paul Varelans, a unanimous decision over Joe Moreira in a tactical fight that was entirely on the feet. Then Jerry Bohlander by 9 minutes and 5 seconds, finally by submission, got a choke on Big Scott Ferrozzo and pulled off a dandy of an upset. And then Gary Goodridge, who yesterday in talking to us looked tremendously strong with that upper body, and he just furiously disposed of Paul Herrera. 30-year-old Don Frye is a Greco-Roman wrestler with over 700 career competition victories and a second-degree black belt in judo. Those who know him call him the Predator.
When I step into the octagon, my opponent will become my prey.
And here comes Don Frye. He hasn't been in the octagon long, only 10 seconds. That's how quick he put away Thomas Ramirez. The Predator. A firefighter for the city of Frisbee, Arizona. A reserve firefighter for Sierra Vista, Arizona. Dan Severin was the assistant coach at Arizona State when Don Frye was a freshman. Dan took him under his wing. He's got a mean streak, that runs 10 generations deep. Pennsylvania Dutch, Irish, Scottish, Cherokee. He's a warrior.
That's a melting pot right there, Bruce.
And he gets some words of, I don't think encouragement, just words of warning from referee Big John McCarthy. We're still waiting for Sam Adkins, who is being taped.
As an alternate, this was a quick decision. He had to do a quick turnaround here and get himself ready to fight. Hands are trying to get taped right now. And Don Frye now has to just kind of keep himself together over in the corner. He's actually talking to Dan the Beast Severn as we speak.
Well, a good man is taping his hands backstage. That's Leon Tabbs, 30 years in the fight game as trainer manager. He is the cut man for the UFC. He's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's worked with the likes of Bone Crusher Smith, Buster Drayton, Jerry the Bull Martin, Marvin Johnson, Gary Hinton, and recently with Simon Brown, Tony Tubbs, Evander Holyfield, and Tony Thornton. So Leon is a very capable cut man, and he will be taping the hands. And shortly, it will be Sam Adkins, 270 pounds from Houston, Texas. 83-1 in wrestling, 54-12 in amateur boxing. Has already proven himself tonight as an alternate, and Adkins will get Frye. Well, Don, your thoughts on Goodridge and his ferocity, and can anyone stop him? Right now, we're set to go, and here comes Sam Adkins. Super heavyweight boxer Sam Adkins is no stranger to a good fight and says he can knock out any man with either hand. Since Sam stands at 6'3", 270, there's one way to deal with his sledgehammer fists. Stay out of his way.
I'm here at the UFC to fight the best. I'll see you boys and girls in the octagon.
He's been a sparring partner for Tommy Morrison and Riddick Bowe. Retired from boxing a year ago. He teaches boxercise and self-defense at the Houstonian Health and Country Club. Sam, the experienced Adkins. Hey guys, we had a chance to see him earlier. What do you think?
Well, I think he took advantage of the gi on Milky and kept him underneath and sank a few punches when he finally got the opportunity. Frye does not have that gi on. Frye, a competitive wrestler, but Adkins does have a wrestling background, Don.
There's the beast, Dan Severn, by his side. That is Don Frye's side.
Well, based on their two earlier fights, Adkins really didn't have to do a lot. A couple of rabbit punches, his opponent taps out.
Here's Rich Goins with the introduction of the fight.
Final match of the evening. Please welcome back the winner of the first round, 6'1", 206 pounds, a Greco-Roman wrestler, second-degree black belt in the art of judo, over 700 competition victories, 30 years old, from Sierra Vista, Arizona, the Predator, Don Frye. And his opponent fighting out of Houston, Texas, National Golden Glove silver medalist and a professional record of 6-7, 5 by KO, 30 years old, 6'3", 265 pounds. Please welcome Sam, the experienced Adkins.
Here's a look at the tail of the tape. Donnie Frye and Sam Adkins. It's boxing against wrestling, but Adkins has some wrestling in his style as well. Both are 30. 64-pound weight advantage for Adkins over Frye. Arizona and Texas. You see a differential there of 59 pounds, but the most recent figure Adkins gave us was 270.
Well, you know, I think we can expect some dukes being thrown in this bout. Both these guys consider themselves punchers, and there could be some punches thrown before they get to the ground this time.
Here we go. Frye and Adkins.
Well, Adkins said he did a lot of wrestling, but it was when he was very young, so he does have some instinct in it, but Frye did it for a lot longer at a lot higher level, so I give the grappling edge to him. Boxing, they both, one had 13, the other had 8 fights, so it'll be interesting.
Oh,
wrestling.
Good takedown by Don Frye.
That was quick.
Pounding at the head quickly of Adkins.
That's it, he tapped on the arm. I don't think John McCarthy saw it.
He's tapping, I thought, there.
No, I think he's just trying to get a hand around him.
Boy, I don't know. That was close.
Frye is just pummeling away at Adkins.
He's got him cut now. He's got him cut with the right hand.
Big John McCarthy ends it. Big John McCarthy ends it right there. Frye, a flurry of power. Wow. And Adkins, who's bleeding profusely, very unhappy, kicking the side of the octagon.
I'm impressed with Don Frye. He got right on him, and those short right hands, one after another in the same spot. Great strategy.
Grappling skill, throw punches, and when he leads that leg out there, boom, grabs him.
Adkins is unhappy. Frye is focused, and there's that mutual respect.
We like to see that. Honor in the martial arts. That's what sets it apart from a lot of other sports. There's great honor here.
Don Frye. Shoot fighter Jerry Bohlander was fresh out of school when he found a home with Ken Shamrock and the Lion's Den. At age 21, Jerry's the youngest fighter here tonight, but he carries with him a pedigree that has stood the test of fire.
The training makes the fighter, not the age. I'm ready for the UFC.
Here he comes, young Mr. Bohlander, 21 years of age. Managed by Ken Shamrock, trained by Frank Shamrock. Signed up for self-defense classes at Kenny Shamrock's Lion's Den. 2 months later, he tried out as a pro, and Ken took him on. He helped Ken train for UFC 5 in Buffalo, helped Scott Bazak train for the Ultimate. So Bohlander's been around the UFC, although he's only been with Shamrock for 6 months. His opponent, very dangerous after his first appearance, Gary Goodridge. Big Daddy. Not only does Canadian fighter Gary Goodridge hold a 4th-degree black belt in Kuk Sool Won, but he also was a super heavyweight boxing champion. Now he's come to prove his skills in the toughest contest of them all, the UFC.
Okay, now there's 3 things that I'm bringing into this UFC 8 that nobody's never brought in all together at once before. Superior attitude, superior mind, superior strength. I've got it all, second to none. Big Daddy's bringing home the bacon.
Here comes Big Daddy, Gary Goodridge. He's had cameo roles in films with Lorenzo Lamas and Sylvester Stallone. He's done videos and commercials. Trains at the Phong Tran Martial Arts Facility. John Knapp is his guru. His manager is Mike Mobbs. He's a welder at an auto plant just outside of Barrie, Ontario. And he's a 4th-degree black belt in Kuk Sool Won, which is a Korean martial arts. He's been in and out of it for the last few years. Kicking, striking, joint locks, and chokes are utilized. And he wants to do pro wrestling in Japan down the line. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. This clearly is a David versus Goliath contest. Bohlander was very tough against Ferrozzo, but now he meets a guy who might be even tougher in Goodridge.
And those scrapes you see on Bohlander were there when he came here to the UFC. He got those in a fight when his opponent was wearing a gi.
A look at the tail of the tape for this one. Goodridge, Kuk Sool Won, Bohlander submission fighting and shoot fighting. Bohlander 9 years younger than Goodridge. And Goodridge has the size. And the crowd getting into it. One of the Octagon girls parading, and there is Rich Go-Go Goins.
Our first competitor, 21 years old, 5'11", 200 pounds, a submission fighter from Lockford, California, 2-0 in professional competition, Jerry Bohlander. And his opponent, 6'3", 258 pounds, a 4th-degree black belt in the art of Kuk Sool Won, 93 Canadian amateur super heavyweight boxing champion. Let's hear it for Big Daddy, Gary Goodridge.
Gary Goodridge and Jerry Bohlander. Semifinal UFC 8.
Well, keeping track of the David versus Goliath, there have been 3 victories for the Davids and 3 victories for the Goliaths. There has been no significant advantage to size, according to the record.
Underway in semifinal number 2. The winner takes on Don Frye for the title of UFC 8.
Goodridge impressed us with those strikes.
Bohlander shooting.
Chokehold.
Chokehold, Goodridge.
Nothing there. Bohlander out of it.
Well, Goodridge needs to lock that leg around Bohlander before he does that choke. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to crank him.
Goodridge has the pure strength, but does Bohlander have enough style to get away?
This is dangerous when you get behind your opponent. And Bohlander, knowing he didn't want to get supplayed, purposely went down to keep from being lifted. Now let's see how Goodridge handles the guard. He's actually cleared the legs. This is called clearing the guard. Here now Goodridge would like to try to make some room to open up some striking opportunities.
Now, what is Bohlander's approach from this position, Jeff?
If I were Bohlander now, I'm going to wait for Goodridge to raise himself, and he's going to try to pull the legs inside and either push on the thighs to create distance so the arms fall short with a strike, or bring the legs in and just wrap so that he can maintain the hold on Goodridge's head. When they're close together like this, no room to strike.
Well, I tell you what,
Headbutt's the only thing here.
Bohlander better hang on tight, because we've seen Goodridge before when he gets that room, and he will throw a barrage of those elbows in there.
Goodridge, 258 pounds. He is powerful.
If you were training with Ken Shamrock, I would try to believe, I would have to believe that he's been in this position before.
Yep. One of the things he said, Ken beats me whenever he wants. So he's been on the ground like this before. And again, no sign of panic from Bohlander. Goodridge continuing to work, trying to stay away from a potential restart from John McCarthy.
Well, if he doesn't move here soon, I think John might have to do it. See him bring his knees up. When Goodridge brings that left arm up towards his abdomen, immediately those knees come up and block any kind of strike that's going to come down, or at least make it difficult to have any room for a clean shot to come straight down.
Don, would you think that Goodridge will try to clear that right hand and land?
Well, I think he's trying to right now. He's putting pressure on Bohlander with his knees coming over his leg.
And now he's in the guard. You see, he's going to wrap. He's going to keep his legs inside like this and wrap, and so that now the distance is going to be hard for Goodridge to create. Little elevator action
by Bohlander.
Great elevator. When that person gets too high, when he tries to crawl to the head, his balance comes up on those legs. Bohlander, a beautiful elevator. He is now in the mounted position, and let's see what Goodridge can do from the guard.
And a barrage of punches by Bohlander. First he threw the headbutt, now the punches, and then another headbutt.
A la Shamrock Taktarov, learning how to headbutt in that close guard position.
So now Bohlander gets us a little view of what he can do from on top.
An incredibly talented fighter, great balance, but most of all, 6 months of hard training with Shamrock, and he's got tremendous poise. He's a good wrestler. Again, he maintains the mounted position.
Punches again by Bohlander. He still has to respect the power of Goodridge. But Bohlander is scoring to the head. McCarthy checks over to the corner of Goodridge. Bohlander landing again.
Oh, and here comes that strength.
He just can't.
Here comes that strength.
There was no technique, it was pure strength.
That was called power. Great power by Goodridge. And Bohlander now on his back in the guard position. Let's see what Goodridge can do. I think he's going to be awful wary to move forward. We might see John have to step in.
And now
to go ahead.
Right hand by Goodridge scored.
That didn't land. It didn't land. There, now he's using his legs to create the distance he wants.
Bohlander got away from it, I believe.
The crowd
not a
cheering.
Good position for Bohlander.
The crowd is cheering everything that Goodridge throws. But again here, he's trying to move forward, but at least he's got the fence there. And there's that great position in the guard. Keep your legs out, straighten yourself out. He can't come down with a strike.
Both are hanging on. It's Goodridge using the fence.
I think he's going to be coming down with some foot strikes right now.
Goodridge is standing on him with 1 foot.
As long as he hangs on to that fence, Goodridge is in a great position here because he won't be just thrown away to give time for Bohlander to come up to his feet, or at least a position that he can fight from.
He's trying some type of ankle lock.
4:46, 4:45 left in this fight. A great fight. Seesaw battle.
And again, it's Goodridge hanging on to the fence of the octagon, trying to stomp at the head
He is so
of Bohlander.
He just pulls his leg out.
Oh, no! That's it. That is it. That right hand to the face of Bohlander.
He was out. That was it.
John McCarthy checks on him quickly. Bohlander says, I saw him respond. He's okay. 5:33. There's too much ferocity, too much strength there for Goodridge. Wow.
Smart move by John to step in and stop that one. There's no sense in Bohlander absorbing more punishment in that position. Upside down on his back.
Tremendous courage, tremendous mettle by Bohlander. Kenny Shamrock, the shoot fighter, taking on Kimo, whose discipline is pancration. A bit of an unknown, but still very dangerous. Right now, a closer look at Kimo. Since he rocked the martial arts world in UFC 3, Kimo has been keeping a low profile, training hard and praying even harder. One champion could barely contain him a year ago, and now Kimo sets his sights on the Superfight champion.
I fought Royce Gracie, as you all know, and now I'm getting to go with Ken Shamrock. So I've had big names to fight with. I feel real blessed in that area, but my toughest opponent is myself. I have to deal with training, and I have to deal with myself and my mental attitude when I get into this octagon.
He is from Waianae, Hawaii, fighting out of Kirkland, Washington, near Seattle. He was born in Munich, Germany. He's also hung out in Huntington Beach, California. A lot of locations for this man, Kimo. Somewhat of a mystery. 0-1 in the UFC. He put Royce Gracie out of contention in UFC 3, but lost by an arm lock at 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Since UFC 3, he went pro, fighting in Japan and Hawaii. No longer affiliated with infamous Joe San, he continues to preach the world of God to anyone who will listen. And guys, they call it pancration.
He's a heavy hitter, considers himself a heavy hitter. He believes intensity over technique. He will try submissions, and he may try to shoot. In other words, he may try to take him down.
He is managed by his dad, Dennis Leopoldo. And right now, that group in prayer just outside the octagon. Kimo's opponent is the defending Superfight champion, Ken Shamrock. No one has ever beaten this man in a super fight. Not Gracie, not Severn, not Taktarov. A world-class athlete and a master of submission, Ken Shamrock has truly earned the title Master of the Octagon.
I've fought in 3 consecutive super fights, and I have not been defeated. I will not be defeated in this time or in the future. Kimo, be ready.
And here he comes out of Lockford, California. The submission fighter, the shoot fighter, Ken Shamrock, who knows what it's all about to be in the octagon. It's his 6th UFC. He has a super fight title. His only loss in the octagon to Royce Gracie in UFC 1, a naked choke. He has drawn twice with Taktarov and Gracie in the rematch in the super fight.
A great grappler, well-versed in both wrestling skills and, most importantly, submissions. He can stand on his feet, use his fists, and act like a boxer. He can be a heavy hitter on the ground. And best of all, what he feels is a big factor in a 15-minute in this heat, conditioning.
Right now, let's go to the G-Man, Rich Coins.
Ladies and gentlemen, please Please welcome the competitors for the Ultimate Fighting Championship Part 8 Superfight. Our first competitor is a practitioner of the art of pancration with a professional record of 2-1, 0-1 in the octagon. 28 years old, 6'1", 270 pounds, fighting out of AMC Kirkland from Waikiki, Hawaii. Please welcome back to the octagon at last, one name says it all, Kimo. And his opponent, a shoot fighter from the Lion's Den in Lockford, California, 3-1 in the Ultimate Fighting Championship competition, undefeated in Superfight competition, 32 years old, 6 foot tall, 215 pounds, former king of Pancrase and reigning Superfight champion of the world, Ken Shamrock.
Here's a look now at the tail of the tape for the Superfight. Shoot fighting against pancration. Shamrock 32, but in marvelous condition. Kimo is 28, also in great shape. Not much of an edge in height. Kimo up to 270, a 55-pound advantage over Shamrock. It's again a West Coast show, California and Hawaii. Kimo and Shamrock, 15-minute time limit, 2 3-minute overtimes if needed.
Oh, a right hand by Shamrock right to the head.
Shamrock drops Kimo quickly.
And this is a position when you're caught in this type of a situation, you want to relax, not fight it. It's not a full-blown guillotine choke here. Shamrock has a little bit of room. He's starting to get his head out now.
Yeah, Shamrock right now, Jeff, he's positioned himself for position. He doesn't have to rush anything. Take his time.
And he said that he was going to try to steer Kimo with punches, and he landed that straight right hand, grabbed the leg, and took him down.
Didn't take Kimo long to parade across the apron and across the octagon, Dan, and then it was quick that Kenny put him down.
Exactly. I mean, there was no time actually to react at all. Right? There's just 2 men just charging at each other. Ken, with the experience and the grappling background, was able to come up with a better position. Right now, again, he's positioned himself.
It's more intuitive by nature. Once again, 15-minute time limit.
This is not the place Kimo wants to be.
No. Again, the weight factor is not going to be a factor in his favor. You know, Ken being a very powerful individual, knowing how to use the body position, knowing how to use his power and that. This weight factor is working against Kimo right now.
Hey, Dan, you've been in this position before with a guy named Royce Gracie, and then you've learned how to work within the guard position. How important is it for Ken Shamrock here to relax and let Kimo have to fight hard, spend energy, and then pick his moments to open up and try and strike?
Well, it's very important here right now. Just to, like I said there, just to maintain good, proper position. Kimo has to work much harder on the bottom here right now. It's not a good position to be at from the bottom. You know, Royce Gracie has showed though where the size does not make a difference. You know, but he's able to relax. He spent a great deal of time down there working in this position.
I'll tell you, because of the sweat out there, it's very difficult to maintain a choke.
I would say it's difficult to get any kind of a strike or any kind of a real grip if you're trying to throw a person or leverage them. You have to sink it in real deep and get it tight before the opportunity for him to try and squirm away.
Kimo seems to be one of those kind of instinctive fighters that just uses his balance and strength and speed. I don't think he's really got a good game plan down there.
Again, Ken is maintaining a nice, strong base. His right knee is out there posting well. Keeps a nice, strong base. Again, he's working the upper body right now, trying to create an opening, look for the strike, look for the arm bar.
And he lands a couple of punches when the opportunity presents itself.
He's mounted. He's mounted. Kimo's already covering his face. And here comes maybe a choke. Oh, and he let him off.
Well, that was pure strength there.
He did not strike trying to go for the choke.
And a headbutt by Kimo.
I believe Ken was looking as Kimo was moving up. He was looking to go for the choke. Again, the power of Kimo's part.
He traded off an opportunity to strike to go for the choke, and I wonder if that was a tactical error in his decision there.
The crowd begins to chant for Kimo now as he lands a couple of headbutts.
I would watch for that eye gouge because he's got his face, a hand on his face.
And a left hand by Kimo, but he loses his leverage.
Okay, again, Ken's maintaining good position. That way is extending, just keeping Kimo away so he can't strike him at this.
He just punched the ground.
Oh, he's going for the ankle. This is good tactic here. Again, power. It's just power and brawlability. Power and brawlability to Kimo.
He's just instinctive. He's just going against it.
Okay, Ken just went under. He's got the ankle. He's looking for the position.
He's got the ankle. Shamrock's got Kimo's ankle. They get away.
He's getting it out.
Nothing yet. Awful slimy. Kimo spit his mouthpiece out, breathing hard. Shamrock moving.
I think he's going to get him. It's basically fatigue right now on Kimo. He looks like he's wearing down.
Shamrock continues that hold, though, on that left leg. And that is it.
Ankle lock.
Ankle lock.
Ken Shamrock.
Shamrock does it. He had the ankle, and he wins it. A terrific couple of minutes.
No matter how strong or how tough you are internally, when these locks get applied, you've got to tap out. If it's around the neck, the ankle, the arm.
Well, Shamrock's got a nice mouse underneath that right eye, but he wins with the submission hold at 4:24. And Dan, I thought he had it, got away for a moment and looked, and then he just kept on working on that ankle.
Yeah, at first he didn't quite have the position cinched down there, Bruce. And he stayed with it, he stayed patient, kept working, keeping the position on. He created the angle that he was looking for.
Kimo put up a terrific effort, Dan.
All right.
No doubt about his strength. Let's take a look at a couple of the replays, guys. As Shamrock celebrates his victory with Commissioner Art Davey and his lovely wife, Tina.
What I saw happening there near the end was Kimo, the fatigue factor was setting in. He couldn't do all that instinctive, just busting loose kind of stuff he does. He finally wore out.
He became stationary. Okay, Ken Shamrock moving in, got the position. At first, Kimo did have the guillotine position, but you see what ahead, being the heat, he's able to slip out. In this position right now, Kimo was maintaining two still. If he would have kept the motion going, kept rolling, he would have been able to slide out.
And Shamrock was doing that just a couple of moments earlier. He kept rolling and rolling and rolling and trying to get himself in the position he wanted, Dan.
He was like a pit bull with that ankle, though. He was not letting go of that ankle. He was getting kicked, he was getting hit, everything, but Ken just held tight to that ankle.
Shamrock wins his second super fight. He's been in all four. He's 2-0-2 in those super fights. And he takes on a very strong, gutsy, well-prepared Kimo. And he had a couple of moments there where it looked like it wasn't going to be easy, where Kimo could have landed some big punches.
Yeah, and the feet there are exactly right. That's where I thought the power of Kimo was going to be, was on his feet. Moving around the octagon. But Kimo has had that, from what I've seen in the past, he's charged right in. He doesn't really anticipate anything, he just charges right in.
All right, let's go to Jeff Blatnick right now. Jeff?
I'm with the victorious Ken Shamrock. And Ken, you said you were going to steer him with punches if he came bullying in. It seemed you landed a quick right hand. Is this what you expected from Kimo?
Yeah, well, he's either going to try and kickbox me and go the distance, or he's going to have to end the fight quick. So he tried to come in quickly.
I have to ask you this. You were in a position of the mount. You looked like you could throw punches. When he turned his back on you, you deliberately didn't throw a punch. It looked like you went for a choke, and suddenly you were on your back.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw too many punches on the ground. I want to beat him with submission. So,
was that a wise decision on your part as you look back on it?
Yeah, I didn't waste as much energy.
Well, you certainly have those submission skills. Tell us how you set up the ankle lock.
It was a knee bar. Wasn't an ankle lock, it was a knee bar. I just kept tucking, and he'd bend his leg and block it. I'd tuck again. Eventually, he moved the wrong way, and I locked it out.
Ken, you've proven to the world here in the UFC competition you're the best. How can you improve upon your performance, and where do you see yourself going?
I don't know. I'm going to enjoy this one. You know, heal up my bruises and plan for the next fight.
Well, Ken, you certainly now are a staple here at the UFC. You fought in every super fight. You are undefeated in those super fights. Who's your next opponent in the next one? Rumors have it it's going to be Dan Severn.
I'd like to fight Dan again. Rumor has it was a fluke that I beat him. So let's do it again. And we'll see if it's a fluke or if it's for real.
I haven't heard any rumors that it was a fluke. You certainly perform well. Ken, we want to wish you the greatest of success. You have been one great fighter and one classy individual.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the fans out there. I appreciate the people in Puerto Rico for backing us up on having a show here, and I'm looking forward to the finals.
Ken, our very best from the UFC. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and see you all back home.
Back to you, Bruce.
All right, Jeff, so it could be, and it should be, Shamrock and Severn. And Dan, he defeated you in Superfight 2 in Casper. You looking forward to this rematch or what?
Oh, definitely. I'm looking forward to this rematch. He's coming to my home state. I guarantee you, if there's ever going to be a match of fury, you know, someone steps into my house, he's violating my property now.
Well, I thought, Dan, that when you came back to win the Ultimate, what you did was you were focused, and you clearly pointed out, as we look at the crowd here at the Coliseum of Puerto Rico, that you weren't mentally prepared, you weren't all there for the one you lost. And I have a feeling this one is going to be the same type of comment, same type of approach.
Well, I'm not about to take anything away from Ken Shamrock. Truly a marvelous competitor out there at skill levels and in all areas. You know, my loss to Shamrock, I'm just going to purely give him that victory. This is now an opportunity. By winning the Ultimate, it put me back on top. Now this is opportunity to face him again. I welcome that opportunity.
Well, you know, there's a saying that when a fighter wins a title, he's 25% better just because of a psychological edge. And I don't think he beat you by 25% last time. So now that you're a champion, he's a champion, I think it's going to be a hell of a fight.
So here's another look at the Ruben Rodriguez Coliseum in Puerto Rico. A great turnout, tremendous fans, very enthusiastic here in this marvelous coastline paradise. And still to come, it's Don Frye against Gary Goodridge for the championship of UFC 8, the main draw, David versus Goliath. One bout still to go, and this one should be interesting. Donnie Frye against Gary Goodridge. Goodridge, who's been in the octagon for only 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Frye has been in there for 58 seconds, and there was something that went on outside of the octagon. There was a fast attack, and referee John McCarthy, among others, Jerry Harris, our security man, quickly separated and tried to settle the situation. And hopefully it will be quelled quickly. We hate to see that. If you want to be enthusiastic, fine.
Well, you know what
stay away from the fighters and stay away from the action.
It happens in football games, basketball, baseball, soccer. I mean, they come out of the stands in some of these soccer games. I guess it happens in all sports.
No room for that. No excuse at all.
Absolutely
right now,
respect.
Here comes Don Frye for the championship of the main draw of UFC 8. Don Frye, 6'1", 206, 30 years of age, 700+ victories. Greco-Roman wrestling, also has studied judo, boxing, and silat. Second-degree black belt in judo. Managed by Dan the Bee Severn, trained by Richard Hamilton and Russ Harris. Frye goes for the championship. And Jeff, you know all about Greco-Roman wrestling.
Well, Frye has a good wrestling background, which obviously gives him good skills at being able to take people off their feet and put them to the ground. But again, that's not an end in itself. He needs submission. He's a competitive wrestler. He said he's not going to go for a takedown early, but as we saw before, he threw a hand waiting for a counter, and as soon as that counter came, he took him down, and he will strike when his opponent is on the ground.
So Dan the Bee Severn, we thank him for joining us. He now is perched high atop the octagon talking to his fighter as he takes on the very dangerous Gary Big Daddy Goodridge. look at Gary Goodridge so far tonight. Young man from Canada, was born in Trinidad. Does some freestyle wrestling with John Knapp. 4th degree black belt in Kuk Soo Won. Married to Karen. He's got a daughter, Quinnell, age 10. His brother and bodyguard, Garvin Goodridge, is also a specimen. And right now, Goodridge has gotten rid of the gi. He's just coming out in straight bare bones.
Well, Gary Goodridge has a strong upper body, and that probably comes from his wrist wrestling experience as well as his weightlifting. He knows he's limited on the ground. He believes he's a knockout puncher, and he will strike on the ground, which was evidenced by the short elbows that he won his first bout with.
He recently won arm wrestling from a guy named Cleve Dean, who's from Georgia, 6'7", 593. And he's well known in the arm wrestling world, isn't he?
He's known in the arm wrestling world, but he also participated in the world's strongest man. He was in there with all those other behemoths doing incredible acts of power like pulling trains and lifting kegs of beer or anything over their head without, you know, specific lifts, or like a snatch lift with the liquid inside makes it very difficult. So yeah, he's got quite a history of power promotion.
You know, Gary Goodridge calls himself a gentle giant. I don't know if I'd call him gentle. Here's Rich Goins with the introduction.
To the finals of the Ultimate Fighting Championship 8. Please welcome our 2 competitors coming back at 6'1", 206 pounds, the Greco-Roman wrestler, 2nd degree black belt in judo, 30 years old, from Sierra Vista, Arizona, the Predator, Don Frye. And his opponent, 6'3", 258 pounds, a 4th degree black belt in the art of Kuk Soo Won, from Canada, the Canadian amateur heavyweight boxing champion. Let's hear it for Big Daddy, Gary Goodridge. Goodridge. Let's get it on.
Well, I questioned Goodridge earlier about arm wrestling 1,000 men in a row in 2 hours in Japan. I will not ever laugh at him again. Please, Gary, I apologize. Here's a look at the disciplines. Age 30 apiece, right on the nose. Keep in mind here, we've got a David and Don Frye. We've got a Goliath and Gary Goodridge. This is the way the tournament has panned out.
And you have to wonder, when you take a look at Shamrock, he was a David against Kimo, the Goliath. And we had a David win there. But this one's going to be a tough one to call, only because Goodridge, so powerful on the ground. He can come back from really a position where he's very open to attack, as we saw against Bohlander.
UFC 8 for the title.
He was able to overcome technique in his last bout, but he used up a lot of energy. He seemed to be tiring a little bit, so we'll see if that works for him against Don Frye.
Frye is very fresh, has fought less than a minute in the octagon tonight.
Quick right jabs.
There's a right hand by Frye.
If it stays up, I put my money on Frye.
Frye trying to trip Goodridge.
Oh, I wouldn't let Goodridge in there.
No, because with his strength, he's dangerous.
Look out. Goodridge got behind Frye. Frye landing some good elbows. And a drop to the canvas by Goodridge. Missed with the big kick.
That kind of attack really doesn't have a place. I mean, it's a long shot, but I'm not sure if it's really worth it. You have him in a vulnerable position. Work it.
It's dramatic.
Very dramatic.
It's more like the movies, Don the Dragon.
Well, yeah, but there's a choreographer in the movies, and Big John's no choreographer.
Up against the octagon fence. Again, knees being landed by Frye.
You notice that Gary Goodridge took the gi off. Perhaps that gi in this kind of a heat was really something that worked against him.
There goes the mouthpiece from Goodridge's mouth, I believe.
Oh, underhooks.
He's going to go out.
Gary Goodridge is really in trouble here.
Frye landed 3 or 4 good right hands.
He had him going.
He got a couple of short uppercuts in there. I thought he had him stunned.
He has some great boxing skill there, Don. Undercut or uppercuts and then roundhouse hooks.
There's short shots. That's what's impressing me. It's the short shots that he's landing on them, not the wide shots.
Hey, Don, short uppercuts are effective. Goodridge picks him up and drops him.
Watch for the choke here.
He's behind him. He's behind him.
And Frye rolls him. And another right hand by Frye. He's trying to get that explosive punching power out there.
There it is.
That's it. It's over.
Don Frye.
Donnie Frye wins it.
The David beats the Goliath.
Those short right hands did it again.
Don Frye wins the David versus Goliath tournament.
And I think that's the first time I've seen a towel get thrown in. The towel went in.
206 pounds, wins it. It took 2 minutes and 14 seconds. And look at that mutual respect.
Well, these guys have nothing against each other. This is not two men who have anything personal against each other. They're competitors competing in a sport.
And Goodridge raising the hand of Frye in victory. Wow. Who would have ever thought Don Frye would have run the table? So a Dan Severn disciple wins UFC 8. Kenny Shamrock disciple gets to the semifinals despite being very small.
If Don ever wants to give up fighting, he's got a job as Tom Selleck's double. I'm telling you. Every time I look at him, I can't believe it.
He fought in Tijuana, Mexico in an old bull ring. Realized it was time to move on. And now he has selected the UFC. That's his vehicle for success. Dragon, here's a look at some action.
Okay, what he does is what he did the last time. As soon as he gets out from right there, as soon as he gets out from that, he takes down Goodridge and gets on top of him and lands those short rights. I mean, from here, he throws the uppercuts. It looked like he might have stunned him with one of them. Right there, there you see Goodridge covering up. He goes on defensive. Now, many times in a boxing match, that in itself will stop a fight. Here he is getting on top of Goodridge.
Good roll there.
Absolutely, this barrage right here, just short right hands, and elbow.
And eventually you'll see
right
the
there,
towel.
he taps right there. He can't defend himself. The right hand tapped. I thought John stopped it, but actually it was a tap out.
Frye wrestled at Arizona State from 84 to 87, and Oklahoma State from 88 to 89. When he was a freshman, they put him in with Matt Gaffari, who weighed in at 350 pounds, the #1 Greco-Roman wrestler in the country. Then he had a big Samoan fella who played nose guard for the Kansas City Chiefs, Stan Salamua, and he was very effective against him as well. So Don Frye wins it. Jeff Blatnick is standing by outside the octagon trying to get a word with Gary Goodridge. Jeff?
Thank you, Bruce. Gary, you fought valiantly. You came in here to UFC, a rookie. You won 2. You had a tough fight in the finals. What went wrong?
Well, I tried your style. You said, hurry with the gi, so I took it off. But my opponent was very tough. Very tough, and he didn't really have any hard fights. And I was a bit winded. I didn't train as much cardiovascularly as I should. And that's my problem. But not to take anything away from the winner. He was very tough. I thought I fought a good fight, and the best mind won tonight.
Have you fought a guy with that kind of punching skill before?
Yes, I have, but like I said, I was winded. Not to take anything away from the fighter. I was winded, and I wasn't able to proceed. I just felt that rather than staying in the position that would leave me vulnerable to taking a lot of headshots, I just thought, well, okay. He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day.
Gary, would you like to come back to the UFC and fight in the future championship?
Most certainly. I think I got what it takes to take on Shamrock, Gracie, whatever they have. Like I said, 3 things takes to win this Ultimate Championship. Superior heart, superior mind, and superior strength. I've got it all. I forgot about superior wind, superior lungs.
Well, certainly we have watched a lot of rookies come and go, and certainly the one thing we see is always improvement. Tell me, was the experience you had in there what it was when you created it in your mind and your training?
Oh, it certainly was. This is just like a deja vu. I lived it over and over in my mind for the last 8 months. You know, all I can say is I have a very strong, this is my crew, you know, 6 strong. You know, these are the strongest guys, my training partners, my trainer. You know, I'd just like to say special thanks to my little trainer right here, Fong Tran, John Knapp. Party at the Rage nightclub tomorrow night.
Let me ask you, what is the one thing you want to improve on besides stamina? How about skill-wise that you feel you can bring back into the octagon?
To be quite honest with you, you never learn enough skills. I can improve on skills 100% and still need another 100%. For me, I think because I am stronger than everyone in here, I need to improve on my skills and my cardiovascular. My cardiovascular was what I was lacking with the most. And once I did have a tough match, it took me a lot to recuperate from it.
Well, Gary, we wish you the best of luck in your training, and we hope to see you at a future UFC event.
Well, thank you very much. I'd also like to say hi to my daughter, Quinelle, that should be in bed right now, but hello, baby, I love you.
Very good, Gary. Congratulations on your performance here.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Bruce.
All right, you got to love his comments. Superior heart, mind, and strength. But he forgot about stamina. Very, very honest, huh, Don?
Absolutely. You know, I saw that when you have strength, you're tempted to use strength. And in the fight game, if you're using your muscles, you're burning energy. Better to use technique, better to relax, especially in an event like the UFC. This is not a one-fight deal.
What about the class that Goodridge showed?
Well, very good. You know, I mean, I love it when a fighter can accept defeat as part of the ongoing process of becoming a better fighter. Making excuses, just sour grapes.
All right, Jeff Blatnick standing by with our champion, Don Frye. Let's go back to the octagon to Jeff.
Don, in your wildest dreams, do you think as a David you would walk through this tournament, become king of UFC 8?
I knew that I was going to win this tournament. I had a feeling that I'd be facing a Goliath in each round, and that came true.
Well, Don the Dragon said if it's a stand-up fight, he likes your chances. You have great punching skills. Did you know that was going to be effective? You really are the first stand-up fighter that has been effective in the UFC.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We had that as our game plan. We figured we'd hit them up top, soften them up, and then take them down and finish with the wrestling.
Well, there seemed to be a point in which you turned it totally in your favor. You had his head down. You put together a series of uppercuts and hooks. And what Don the Dragon said as a very good striker, it was the short punch. It wasn't the big windup. You were effective in there. Is this something you planned?
The most effective punch in boxing is a 6-inch punch. That's your knockout punch. If you study any boxer, the distant punch softens them up, gets them bobbing, and they close up. Your effective punches are right there. 6 inches away, and it'll just put them on the rear end.
Well, certainly the punching was effective, but you also did something else that was very creative. You led with that right hand jab. The instant Adkins came with his left hand, you went under him.
Yeah, I figured I can fight either way. Ambidextrous, I can go left, I can go right, I can go up, I can go down, I can do it all. There's nothing that I cannot do.
How effective was Severn as your training partner?
Dan Severn, I can't say enough about the man. You know, the man is the ultimate person, the ultimate human being. He is very sweet. I mean, the kindest individual you'll ever meet in your life.
What?
Richard Hamilton here took me, as Dan did, took me underneath their wings and just developed me.
Richard Hamilton and I were discussing submission locks. You never needed them. Tell me, was the experience everything you thought it would be?
I imagine that I would have to go to a choke or submission lock, but fortunately, the game didn't last that long.
Well, I sure hope you never have to face that submission lock, and saying you may never have to face it. Can we expect you in future UFCs? Are you looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm planning this is going to be my career for several years. I will be on top of the game. I'll stay on top of the game.
Anything to say to people home?
Happy birthday to my little nephew Alex. He's 3 years old. Happy birthday to my brother. I'm sorry I didn't call. He's going to be real mad at me.
Well, somehow I think your performance will justify it. Hey, congratulations. Well done here at UFC 8.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Certainly will.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff, and congratulations to Don Frye. And right now, Don the Dragon Wilson is standing by with a special guest. Dragon?
Well, I'm sitting here with a good friend of mine and a very popular actor, Mr. Christopher Penn, brother of Sean Penn, and a fighter in his own. Yeah, right. Sean's your brother. a fighter in his own right. I've trained with him for 10 years. Chris, what was your impression of the UFC?
Well, it was very, it's something to reckon with. It's real stuff, and it's exciting. You know, when you watch any other type of fighting sport, whether it be martial arts or boxing or wrestling, you sort of know what's going to happen. And, you know, some of the stuff is sloppy, but when it's good, it's great. Right. And the guys that are on top of the game and that really have their skills down, it's very exciting.
Well, I know when we've sparred, you've always said that if you could wrestle me, because you were a high school wrestler, you would just throw me to the ground. That'd be the end of my kickboxing.
Go Chris Penn, yeah. I'm
not going to even comment. I'm just saying this is, you know, it's exciting, and you wrestle too. So I mean, it's a combination of both. And you see where some guys that have a little bit of one ability and a little bit of another ability really do dominate. You know, if a guy's got the ability to take a guy down and then throw some punches while he's got it in a position to do it, like Mr. Frye, I mean, you know, he was in there with a tough guy, and he was able to use his boxing and his wrestling, and that's why he won. So obviously, if you have both, but then you have guys like, I mean, Ken Shamrock obviously is probably the most impressive guy that I saw tonight.
Right, he's got the experience.
His wrestling is so superior that, you know, it's going to be pretty hard to land a punch on him.
Right, he knows how to get in close enough to protect himself or stay out of your reach. And that's the key, you know, it's distance. That punch is only good from a short distance. And Don Frye said it tonight. He said the 6-inch punch is what he practiced and what he went to hurt these guys with. Not the big wind-up punches that some of these amateurish punchers have done, but the little short
punches. You don't have to have a lot of effort, and you don't need a lot of space. You can be confined and wrapped up. I mean, you can see how Shamrock was basically smothering the guy. I mean, he doesn't want any body part to move. He's smothering him, and you only need that much, you know. So it was fun. I had a great time, and I'll be back.
Very good.
Either to watch it or maybe to compete. Who knows?
You heard it right here on the UFC. Chris Penn, another satisfied customer.
All right, guys.
Squeeze too hard.
All right, guys. The Ultimate Fighting Championship number 8. Well, that about wraps things up from Ruben Rodriguez Coliseum here in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. For Don the Dragon Wilson and Jeff Blatnick, I'm Bruce Beck. Thanks very much for joining us once again. Ken Shamrock, the super fight winner, ankle lock 424 over Kimo, and Don Frye, the Greco-Roman wrestler, at 206 pounds, wins the David versus Goliath competition in UFC 8, the main draw. That's it for Puerto Rico. Thanks for joining us, and good night, everybody.